Okay, welcome to this mentorship class on the machine learning. We are going to start with understanding bibliometric analysis, concepts, methods, and applications. And I'm going to follow this outline today with you. I'm going to look at bibliometric analysis, what it is. I'm going to compare it with narrative analysis. I'm going to show you some core concepts. I'm going to talk about the analytical methods, these tools that we can use, the practical example, and applications and relevance, and then some core differences with other types of reviews. And then I'm going to also give you more practical examples, and then we're going to conclude and look at our future plans. So essentially, as people are beginning afresh, people that are new in research, bibliometric analysis is one of the methods, is one of the analysis you should embark on. Essentially, it is the quantitative and statistical study of academic literature. If you are new to an area, you can use bibliometric analysis to identify trends, patterns, and relationship in that area. It helps researchers to uncover for who contributes mostly to a field, so that you know already what is going on in that field. Apart from narrative review, it is a very good tool to discover what is really happening, even globally, in that field, which countries or institutions are mostly active, and what topics are emerging or declining in that field. So you'll see that this is often neglected. So people just go into research without really doing this. And there is a lot of opportunities in these areas we shall see, as I shall tell you. You can really do this as a starter to test the waters, to see what obtains, in fact, in literature. So you can even know how research collaborations and citations evolve. In fact, this area is the data science of research literature, the analysis of research literature. It's different a bit from systematic review or meta-analysis. In fact, it's a foundation, it's very basic before you move on to systematic reviews and the meta-analysis. Now, why does it matter? It can help you to map the intellectual structure of a discipline, it can help you to identify research hotspots and even some emerging themes. And it helps institutions to evaluate their scientific impact. You'll be able to know, even countries, even nations, to know which nation is really doing well in this aspect of research. And you'll be able to know what opportunities you have in that field. So it's a very interesting type of research you can embark upon, because it supports evidence-based decision-making in research and policy. And it helps to promote transparency because it is backed by evidence. This our paper now that I gave you, this paper that I said you will work on is an example. We're going to see how we can address it later. This is a very great topic, Bayesian machine learning in Bayesian machine bibliometric review of Bayesian machine learning methods for healthcare and decision making. We're going to use bibliometric analysis to understand how Bayesian machine learning research in healthcare has evolved globally. So we need to really know how it has evolved first before we dabble into it. And then we'll be able to know where to come in and whether to really, we know that machine learning has evolved, but what of Bayesian machine learning? That's a new area. That's another area, another field, another topic entirely, separate from machine learning. So when we're going to do it, some of you will work on machine learning in healthcare decision making. Some of you will work on Bayesian machine learning. And then we can divide it into groups. And then some people work on this area. In fact, one of my students presented this paper to me, and I suggested, oh, why can't we do bibliometric analysis? Then why can't we even bring in more people to join us in this project? And that's why in this paper, with this study, you'll see how you can learn to really dig deep into what obtains in a particular field, especially in this one we have chosen. Now, what are the core components? We have performance analysis, which measures productivity and impact of authors or even journals or even countries and separate countries. We're able to see it at a glance. And then we'll see the science mapping. That's one analysis we can do, science mapping, of visualize relationship among publications, even among authors, or even we'll choose some keywords. One group may choose separate keywords. Another group may choose the separate keywords. So there's room for everyone to operate. And we can all have different publications. We can choose different years or different databases. And we'll be able to see what really obtains in that direction. Now, another thing we can do is thematic evolution, to be able to track how research topics change over time. Maybe in about 5 years ago, they published more in that area, but 10 years ago, it was even more. We will see, or less, we will see. It will show us direct evidence. Then we'll be able to see the conceptual structure. We'll cover underlying research teams using what we call clustering. Clustering is a type of unsupervised machine learning or multivariate correspondence analysis. These are unsupervised machine learning methods, and we're going to use R or Python to produce beautiful data visualizations of these literature analysis rather than just narrative review. So bibliometric analysis to me is a little bit stronger in terms of evidence than narrative. You're going to see it in the following slides. We can do a lot, different type of analytical techniques. I've talked about performance analysis. Citation analysis is also there. How they were cited, how often they be cited, and then co-citation also will determine intellectual relationship between different works of different authors and even keyword co-occurrence in papers in order to determine thematic clusters and research trends. And then, of course, collaboration trends to map authors, institutions, and countries working together. This we can all do, can detect through bibliometric analysis. How many authors, who are the authors working together? Which countries collaborate mostly on a particular topic? Is it from China and US or from Japan and Singapore? We will see all this at a glance. The picture speaks better than 1,000 words. Now, what are the key bibliometric indicators that we will see by the time we begin to analyze? What we will look out for by the time we get our data, we'll compile our data in a database. We can use coding to also fetch all the data about that particular topic from a database, let's say Scopus, let's say PubMed or Web of Science. We can just instruct via give a keyword, and then we'll tell it to fetch out all the papers that have been published in this area. It's applying some strings of keywords and to fetch them out to a database. If you want to fetch it out into a CSV file, you can do that. And then we'll now begin to analyze. We'll now begin to plot to give us different analysis, different plots concerning these papers or these publications. Now we'll be able to see the total publication. We can see the total citations in this area and see the H index, that is number of paper with at least a particular citation. Then we'll see the keyword frequency collaboration index, which measures the co-authorship of or country collaboration patterns, and even network centrality, which reflects how the individuals, how influential the authors or country or keywords are in a network. So these are very important analysis, very interesting and important analysis that can be done as at the beginning of your research journey. Now, what are the data sources that you can fetch literature from? These are the recognized data sources, the recognized archive, indexing houses. Web of Science is number one, very prestigious. If your paper is indexed on Web of Science, that's a good paper. That's a good research. If your paper is also indexed in Scopus, it's good. If your paper is indexed in PubMed, OpenAlex, which is a free modern API, or even Crossref dimensions. But majorly, we're going to use the first four: Web of Science, Scopus, PubMed, OpenAlex. Now, PubMed, Scopus, and Web of Science, they are very, very common, especially in medical sciences. So if you are publishing, please be on the lookout. We're still going to come to that. Be on the lookout. Is your paper recognized? Is your paper indexed in Web of Science? Is it indexed in Scopus? Is that journal indexed in Scopus? Otherwise, please, I would advise, don't publish there. Don't publish there. Or PubMed. Don't publish it, because by the time we are doing our bibliometric analysis, these are the indexing houses we will reckon with. What does that now mean? It means that if your paper, your work is not cited, it's not indexed in any of these, it's not counted as a research paper. And any researcher in the world doing any bibliometric analysis will not capture it. So you've just wasted time. So that's one of the things we tell our young researcher, early career researchers, that is, look well before publishing. Publish on the right place. And that's one of the things that this mentorship class is meant to achieve, to help our young early career researchers to publish in the right place. Now, what are the popular tools we can use for our bibliometric analysis? It's easy. It's one of the easiest type of research program you can have, and it to be recognized. You only need dedication. You need to put in hard work, but it is easy. You can even combine it with narrative review, as we will see later on. You can combine it with narrative review, and it will be easy for you to it will become a very wholesome paper. So R package with the packages in R of the Bibliometrics and Biblioshiny. These are packages that are very, very useful. R packages that are useful for bibliometric analysis. I'm going to introduce you to them maybe from next week. Right. These are very strong packages in R that are useful for bibliometric analysis. Then we have VOS Viewer. The paper I will publish, I'm going to show you, was done with VOS Viewer. This one, you can download VOS Viewer, just as the name is. You can download it. And you have to download Java first before you can run on Windows. Then you download VOS Viewer, you put your database there, and it will plot it at a go once. It's very easy. It will plot, it will analyze all your literature and give you some interesting diagrams at a go. And these are publishable results. Then we have Site Space. It's also good especially for thematic evolution and citation burst. Then we have what's called Gephi and Project, just for general network visualization. Then we have also Python libraries like ScientoPy, Meta-Knowledge, and Bibliometrics. These are powerful packages that are libraries that I want you to be conversant with. But in this course, in this class, we're going to work on the R packages and the Voice Viewer and the Python library. In fact, we can divide into three and say a group should use Python libraries, a group should use R, a group should use Voice Viewer. It's going to be very, very interesting. This is an example workflow of an R workflow using the Bibliometrics package. You must have downloaded it. You must have installed Bibliometrics package before you can run this code. This is fetching data from Scopus, right? And we'll put it in a CSV. Format is CSV. Then the data will be here. The database of the paper, the literature we want to analyze is here. It's in M. Then we'll just say bibliometric biblioanalysis M. Then we'll summarize it to give us the average citation, the average papers published in that field, and all that. It will give us at a glance. And then we can go ahead to plot using network plot of that Google network. And then we plot the co-occurrence and then the keywords using the separator. It will give us beautiful plot just using these few lines of code. But there are some things we need to do now to get our data in, to convert our data into a data frame. There are some things we need to do at first, right? So let's see an example, even from our topic. This our topic, and which is your topic also, like I said before, which I'm giving you to start with. We can decide to fetch data from any of these or sources. I told you we are going to use these four for now. And we can extend it to 25 years or 35 years, as the case may be, as we want it. Then when we do descriptive bibliometry, we'll look at the trends of publication on that topic, on that Bayesian machine learning in healthcare decision making. We'll look at the sources where the data is, the publication is coming from. We'll look at how they were cited. In fact, it's a very beautiful way of gaining knowledge about a topic, like I said before. Then we can do network analysis of authors, of keywords, of countries. We can do some thematic mapping, or doing some clustering and evolution analysis. And then expectedly, we'll be able to identify the most influential papers and themes and even regions from where those papers are coming from as far as this field is concerned. This is very good to know. In fact, we just coined this and we're going to really try out this. And I want you to coin out some topics also that we can try yourself already as you are listening to me. And once we are able to create the code, we can use it. It can be reusable, and we can produce many, many publications to be able to open new areas of research, different research groups in our network. So we go to visualize collaboration networks, and then we can highlight emerging research hotspots, right? Now, this is good. You might be asking, why is this useful? It's good for research planning and evaluation. You can be able to plan your research. You can be able to know where to go, what has been done in this field, like I said before, and how to proceed, where to come in. You can identify collaboration opportunities. Now you want to collaborate with some of the IS, we will be able to determine where those who publish mostly in that field, you can be able to even write them and collaborate with them as well. And then you detect emerging trends. Is it AI they are using? Is it machine learning they are using mostly in healthcare or whatever? You can determine the emerging trend. Then this can support funding proposal and policy report, because this is the highest means of evidence. Is a great means of evidence rather. So that we can even go on to systematic review, and we can go on to meta-analysis as well, which are similar but more advanced, right? So, and then we can use it to complement them. You can use the results here to complement those ones. So this is a very great way to start. Now, there's some advantages and limitations, objective, data-driven, quite objective. And it's scalable to thousands of papers, can increase the number of years and all that. And it enables visual interpretation rather than just narrative review. Now my mentee said, oh, let's do narrative review. I said, oh, can we do bibliometric analysis? Then in future, we can do systematic and then also meta-analysis. And these are areas that are easy to publish. You can even publish in Nature if you do it well. You can publish in Q1 journals, good journals, if you do it well. And the tools are here already. And it's good for you to start. When you start your career publishing in good journals, then you know you have a long way, a good career ahead of you, right? These are things we need to know. But then it depends on database coverage. It has citation lag and bias. Sometimes there is citation lag or citation bias, which should not allow us to get the appropriate data. And it requires interpretation beyond just the raw count data. You have to really interpret in the discussion session. I'm trying to show you how a typical research paper, bibliometric research paper will look like. Now, I've talked about the review types. Just the very first two, apart from systematic review and meta-analysis, I've said it that bibliometric is data-driven and quantitative in nature, highly quantitative in nature. While narrative review is concept-driven and qualitative in nature. No analysis there at all. Sometimes it could be boring. Read, But then if you combine the two, both approaches, they can be complementary. They can serve different complementary purposes. It makes your paper more robust, comprehensive, and to give you better understanding of that research domain. Right. These are the core distinctions. Quantitative, this one is qualitative. The data source, the publication metadata, authors, keyword citation. But here you need the full text content. You have to read it. You have to go and summarize the theories yourself from the papers, right? Here, the goal is just to map and measure structures and trends. But here is to interpret and critically discuss existing knowledge. And if you're doing narrative, it's not just to say, so person did this. You have to go and get it to the extent, you do it to the extent of where is the gap. You have to tell us the gap before you stop, right? So sometimes narrative review is not as easy as you think. Then I've told you the tools that can be used for this. Even Python can also be used. But here you have to do some manual synthesis. But good thing, there are generative AI or methods, tools that can help us to synthesize some of these papers instead of manual synthesis nowadays. Now, the output of the bibliometric review is visual. It's a visual how to trend, cluster, diagrams, pictures, very beautiful, interesting pictures. But here, no picture as such, just arguments, models, and just gap, like I told you. You have to give us the gap. Don't stop until you give us the major gap. And sometimes you cannot be too sure that that is the gap because you might not have exhausted the literature in that area. So it's not as easy as you think. So that's why you should complement it with a bibliometric review. It is empirical and objective. It is quite empirical and objective. I love it. But then, narrative review is interpretive and just theoretical. And you need to really do a lot of theoretical work. Why not for the advent of generative AI to have been more tasking? Now, so bibliometric review in a nutshell answers who, when, and how is the research being produced. Whereas narrative review says, what does the research say? And what does it mean? So bibliometric review measures and maps literature quantitatively. while narrative review interprets and explains it qualitatively. So together they can do a good job of answering what exists and why it matters, right? So an example is what we are going to start with. Preliminary review of Bayesian machine learning method for healthcare and clinical decision making. So we're going to do for 25 years, we're going to get our data from these four sources, and then we're going to do descriptive indicators, keyword concurrence, and our deliverables will be co-authorship and keyword maps, trend plots of annual publication, top authors, journals, and countries. I've already done it, but I just want to train you along and to see how you can follow through and how you can reuse the codes that I've produced for other papers or other topics. Okay, now, for instance, if you want to do narrative review, you have to do some deep reading. You don't have tools to analyze that data. You just compare and synthesize. But then you have tools to fetch out the papers as they go. But sometimes, generative AI can hallucinate, may not be that correct. But anything empirical will be correct, right? Now, some of the focus could be the role of Bayesian reasoning in healthcare, AI, challenges of uncertainty, quantification, ethical interpretability issues, and we will need to deliver the conceptual framework and discussion of gaps and opportunities. Now, integrating both will give us a very comprehensive insight, and that's what we're going to do. So first, we have to conduct bibliometric mapping to identify patterns and themes in that area, on that topic. Then we'll use bibliometric review to also perform, we'll perform narrative synthesis to interpret and explain findings. Then we'll match both to form a data-informed conceptual review. You can see I both in it here, data-informed. Anything data-informed is more believable because we can see evidence from data. So our hybrid paper for our first paper, this mentorship class will be with the structure and the following with the introduction to the topic. You have to introduce the topic, tell us something about the topic, who has worked on the topic, just a kind of narrative review of the topic. Then methodology, we'll talk about the methodology. Then we'll start with the quantitative result plot using the bibliometric analysis tools to get trends, citations, network occurrence, multiple correspondent analysis, clustering, and so on, so forth. Then we'll now do some qualitative interpretation of those plots and charts, the meanings, the implications, so forth. Then discussion of future directions for our next paper. So that's what is going to happen. Then they will complement each other, like I said. The bibliometric analysis will provide objective data, very objective data, and the patterns, while the narrative review will explain why behind these patterns. Then they will produce a very rich evidence-based insights. So we need to really, really explore these areas. Now, we are going to do some other topics in our program, sometimes using bibliometric review plus narrative review, sometimes hybrid, sometimes only bibliometric, sometimes only narrative. So we have some list of topics in our arsenal, in our archive that we want to give to you, but then we need to ensure that we have teams to work on this. So we want to have both analytical rigor and conceptual depth that will align with our multi-paper collaboration plan for as many the months we desire. So now, in conclusion, we have seen that bibliometric analysis is a powerful tool for understanding the structure and growth and even dynamics of a particular topic or area of scientific knowledge. It's an area of data science. Badges includes data visualization and research evaluation. It's a very interesting area when combined with narrative interpretation it can give you a high impact paper that will be published in a high impact journal, because evidence-based papers are valuable. So together, when we combine them, they will be able to produce a holistic view of a research field. So essentially, we want to see how bibliometric analysis can help us transform research literature into actionable insight for guiding our collaboration, innovation, and discovery. So after some time, we'll move away from all these narrative reviews and begin to do real, we'll move away from all these review papers and begin to do the real analysis and the real publications in the field. And once we are able to identify gaps, this is one of the path papers that I co-authored with some scholars before. I think this was in about 4 years ago. We did this International Journal of Environmental Research, Public Health, right? And if you download it, I think it's open access. You'll see some of the results there, how interesting they are. So I want to encourage you to really venture into this and see what you can do, how you can kickstart your research work and publications. Thank you for listening. I will now open the room for discussions.